Hello, my name is DJ DarkX, as many of you on the forums may know. The reason for this video is basically a tutorial for Tiled, which is the editor that can basically make maps that are really nicely intricate and multi-layered instead of having to deal with MV's built-in map editor. While much better than Ace, still not very powerful. You're still very limiting. Now, I'm going to basically show you how to work with it, and basically you also need to have the plugin installed and everything. This is going to assume, or this tutorial is going to assume that you have a basic understanding of how to install plugins and how to work with maps in the first place. If not, well, I mean, there are other ways to basically get that done, but either way, let's go ahead and get right to the meat and bones of this whole tutorial. First off, again, you need to have the Tiled plugin installed and activated. Make sure you get the latest version off of Archeia's thread. Should be under, well, what's it called? Should be under the JavaScript boards in JS plugin releases. As of this tutorial, should be like about page 3, I think. Anyway, have it on. Unless you're going to do half-tile movement, which I'm not for this video, you can go ahead and set that to false. You can go ahead and leave these by themselves. They're really only going to be pertaining to the way Tiled works with maps. So if you're just going to be doing default, stick with that. Other stuff, I don't really know what that is just yet, but either way, it's good. Like, just leave it the way it is, but turn off half-tile movement if you're not going to be using it. I'm also doing Community Basic, which is from the latest 1.5 for NV. I changed my resolution to high-res SNES. Alright, so here we have a basic 17 by 13 normal map that you would create in an MV. This is, you don't, the nice thing about tiled maps in MV is that they're not constrained by this restriction of map size whenever you create any kind of map in MV. That's the beauty of it. You can have the 17 by 13 map, but you'll still be able to have a lot more. You can see the map itself can be much bigger, even if it's not 48 by 40, even if it's 32 by 32, 24, 16, etc., whatever it is that you're making. It'll still go out beyond the bounds of the regular map. So the tiled plugin is going to be dealing with map size and everything. That's the beauty of it. So let's go ahead and actually go to Tiled. This is the latest version, 1.0. So there is going to be something a little different. Some people have used the older versions of Tiled to make maps with the Tiled MV plugin when it was released. This one works a little bit different, just a little bit. I'll show you. Okay, so we have our primary tile layer right here. We're going to set up some custom properties. The first one is priority. We're going to put it at 1. We're going to create another one called z-index. And let's just set that at 1. Mind you, make sure that whenever you're typing in these values, that you type them in properly. Priority should just be priority. Z-index should be little z, capitalized I, and then the rest of index. It's basically doing it in the style of, or basically in the syntax of Java. So it needs to be done properly. If you need help figuring out exactly how they need to be spelled out properly or put in properly, just check out the Tiled PDF that comes with the plugin. Okay, so now we have the first tile layer. Let's go ahead and call it ground 1. Why not? Next, we're going to add in a tile set. Here's where things differ from this version as opposed to older versions of Tiled. In the old versions of Tiled, all tile sets were embedded. In other words, it would refer directly to the image file, and it would embed any kind of animations or anything like that within the map. So that's basically the way the latest version of the tiled MV plugin works. It uses the embedded map format. 1.0 and I think maybe 0.89 or something, I don't remember, of tiled uses external tile sheets which do not work with the plugin. So this is basically how we're going to be setting all this up. The name can be whatever you want. I'll do this as DS Force Tiles because that's what I'm going to be using. Keep the type is based on tile set image. Click Embed in Map. That's the biggest change. We'll go ahead and go over here. DS Game, Image, Tile Sets. Even if you're not using default tile sets from NV or ACE or whatever, and you're using a custom tile set that you've made, it still has to go into the tile sets folder. So let's go ahead and open that. The tile set width is going to be 32 by 32 because that's what DS tiles are at. Don't bother with transparency color if you're using PNGs and they're already transparent. Do not set the margin and spacing to anything but 0. Always leave it at 0. If not, it will not work. Okay, now we've got the tile set brought in. Really nice and everything, but you're probably looking at this upper section over here and thinking, okay, so why do you have the same tiles repeated 3 times going down each time? I'm not. I mean, I am, but at the same time, these are for animations. It's the same thing down here. Now, these aren't set up the way ACE tiles are. If I were to just place one of these down here, it would be static. If I were to put this into the game right now, play it, this would be static. It wouldn't be moving at all. So here's what we're going to do. Now that we have this selected, we're going to go ahead and click right here at Edit Tile Set. And this is how animations work. It's a little weird, but you click on the image that you want to have the animation, not on all 3. Then you go to Tile Set, Tile Animation Editor, and it'll bring up this little window. All you have to do is select all 3. You can click Shift, you can hold Shift, and then you can click on the last tile for the animation. So this way it'll select all 3, and then just literally drag and drop it here. There you go. Now you should see the animation down here at the bottom. To make it the default 4 animation or the 4 frame animation, it's basically 1, 2, 3, 2. You can add the second one at the very end just by double clicking. This number right here is the duration in milliseconds that the animation is or that each frame is supposed to last. Or like the duration of each frame. Right now it's 100 milliseconds. The default for MV is 300 milliseconds for each frame of animation. I'm going to put it at 150. Okay. Now, you should notice that this tile right up here has a little film strip icon on it. That means that it's animated. We'll do the same thing for these 2 right here, or for these 3 right here. And we can create a very small lake. If you're going to be doing the same animation speed for many different tiles, I suggest that you copy the animation duration that you're using, so that this way you can just quickly paste it once you double click on each tile to change the value. Alright. Okay, so now we have these 4 animated. We're going to go ahead and save that. So now we're going to make the entire floor just grass. And we're leaving that there, and they say that you should put animated tiles on their own layers. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go ahead and create another layer. We're going to put it as a tile layer. We're going to put ground 1 any, or I should put ground any 1. I'm basically naming it in a JavaScript syntax. This way, this is for me. This is my own personal preference. So here, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and we're going to copy these two values. We're going to go to the next layer, then we're going to put priority 2. Z index is basically where it's going to appear for the player. Basically, 1 is underneath them, 3 is at the same level as they are, and then 5 is above them. You're probably thinking, well, that doesn't give very much leeway for layers. Actually, it does. Just because whenever you're layering objects on a map, you're not worrying so much about the player's interaction with them as you are how they're going to look, and then worry about the player's interaction with them. And really, all you need is 3 layers: under, same, above, or at least the Z index for that. The layers basically will allow you to make more intricate maps, much prettier looking maps, with a whole bunch of other stuff on the map rather than having to worry about essentially looking at. Well, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. It'll basically allow you to create much more elegant, beautiful looking maps by adding in a whole bunch of new things layered on top of each other, so that this way you get something that's really nice without having to create this really intricate and custom tile set. And then you have to go into the image editor and do all that stuff. And yeah, it can be a pain. It is basically almost does away the need for parallax mapping. Almost. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put a lake down here. And as you can see, it's already animated. That's the nice thing about animated tiles here in Tiles, is that you'll see them animated. Another thing is that here I'm actually using, this is Ace, by the way. I'm using the DS tiles here. I basically was using this as a reference for water. And this was basically for making these tiles for, in Photoshop, for my tile set. All I really have to worry about the static ones. Alright, anyway. So we have basically the 2 layers, and we have just ground and animated water. Let's go ahead and add it. Now, nice thing is that I can hold the right mouse button, select all of this, and I can basically copy, just like you can in Ace, or in RPG Maker, excuse me. And you can paste a whole bunch of links if you wanted to. Okay, so you're all set with that. Let's go ahead and add in a couple trees. I kind of messed up here. I'll show you why in a minute. For this, we're going to go ahead and, we'll put this on another layer actually. I'm going to show you something that's really interesting. We're going to do ground 2. Copy the ones from before. Do 3. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to use the rectangular selection tool. You remember, if you want to select multiple ones, just hold Shift, and you can select different tiles all over the place. And I'm going to cut them out from here. There we go. We're going to go ahead and select these as well. Probably should do, here we go. That makes things much easier. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out as well. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to do upper 1. we're going to go ahead and paste this before we do anything else. Okay. If you want to get rid of that, like all of that stuck to your mouse, just right click on an empty spot and there you go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, but we're actually going to go here. We're going to go to ground 1, go back to upper 1, keep the priority at 1, and then change the Z index to 5. This way it shows that it's above the player. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. We have trees and everything. Let's go ahead and save it real quick. Let's open up NV. I have already worked on the map, so I'm going to go ahead and change this to back. Yes. I'm going to change this to map 1. We're going to play it. Cool, huh? That's on a 32 by 32 grid. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, look. Our character can walk on water. Put them in good company. As you can see, yes, these tiles are actually above the character, but we're able to walk through the trees. That's not good. Let's go ahead and close this out. How do we fix this problem? Well, it's really easy. We're going to do a new tile set. Do the same thing, embed it on map, and this time we're going to call it collision, or at least I'm going to call it collision. You can call it shiny ponies if you want. We're going to go ahead and basically select the collision map, or the collision tiles. There they are. Real nice and simple. I'm going to go ahead and save that. We don't have to do anything for these except just keep them around. Okay, so now we're going to create a collision layer. Tile. Collision. We're going to add in a new value. We're going to be doing string. Collision. I'm doing full for now. This basically is just like a regular X. Best way to put it. This passability right here. Oh, okay. Here's what we're going to do. On the collision layer, we're going to go ahead and click on this red one. This is just for me. It's all of these are reference. I mean, you can pick whatever tile you want, but it makes it much easier to just put them based on reference. In this case, the red would be just complete full. We're going to do this on the places where it shouldn't, where you shouldn't be able to walk. I'm going to go ahead and select this. Do the multiple just like before. I'm going to save it. We literally don't even have to save anything in MV. It's just the map that needs to be saved. Now let's go ahead and try it out. Oh, still not working. I must have done something wrong. Let's check out one of my other maps. Oh, wrong one. Oh no, wait, I had it right. No. Ah, okay, so it should be working, but obviously it's not. Let's make sure, let's find out why. Well, it should be working, but for some reason it's not. Oh, I see. Saved to the wrong map. That's why. Ah, that was my bad. Okay. Alright, so now that we have that saved, go right back into MV and playtest. Now we're going to test it out. Oh look! We cannot hit those at all. Like, we cannot go through them anymore. Now it's working as intended. Nice and easy and simple. But no, what about events? This map is actually bigger. If you look at the map size, it's 25 by 16 tiles. That's much bigger than the simple 17 by 13. And I already have an event here. So then, how do we work with it? I mean, yeah, okay, if I were to go back here, if I were to go all the way to the top, it would do it automatically. But let's say I don't want the event to be there. Say I want it to be somewhere down here, out of the bounds of the original map. Alright? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to ground 2. I'm just going to set up a little thing here. Okay. Go to the upper tiles, or the upper layer. Now we're going to put in an object layer. We're going to call it events. Now I'm not sure if you need to have this, if you need to have priority on this or not. I'm assuming you don't, but just in case, I'll do 4. Keep it underneath. For this, when you go to view, make sure that you show grids, this way you can see it properly. You can see the grid and where you're going to be placing the event. You also need to do snapping, snap define grid, and you're going to make it exactly 1 tile big. And it can be the size of, it needs to be the size of the grid itself, not the size of the native editor, which in the case of MV is 48 by 48. You have to make it, if your map grid is 32 by 32, make it 32 by 32. Anyway, let's go ahead and do this. Width and height are 32 by 32. Now we're going to go ahead and click on event properties. It's already selected here. It's just in case it doesn't pop up. For string, we're going to enter in event ID. This event is event 1. 1 test. All we need to do is enter in 1. Click enter. Save the map. Play it. Now if we go all the way up here, oh look at that, nothing. I don't have to press any buttons. It's a player touch. But now if we go over here, there you go. Simple, easy, and effective. But you don't have to have just this many tiles. You can have as many as you want. Now, just real quick, I want to show you something interesting. We're going to do another object layer. This one we're going to call, if you want, doodads. Because I know people love calling it doodads, even though it's just more tiles, that's all. Okay. So for this, we're going to go ahead and go here, we're going to do index or z-index 1 priority 5. The way this works, z-index is obviously where it's going to be, below, above, etc., etc. Priority is basically how you're going to set those layers. The lower the number, or if you basically do the lowest number, it's going to be underneath everything. The highest number is above everything, but only in those indexes. So even if you put an upper layer with a priority of 1 and a ground layer with a priority of 10, the upper layer will still be above the priority 10 ground layer. Always. Okay. So now we have this, we're going to go ahead and select this one. We're going to click here to insert a tile. You're going to click it, and then you can just move it however you want. Place it. Make sure it's deselected. And save. Now let's say you wanted to change that exact tile and you wanted to move it around somewhere later. You can literally just click on the tile and still move it around. It's the same thing with these events. Move them around. There you go. Okay, so it's saved. I'm going to open it up, and this is the way you'll see it in game. There you go. Look at that. Obviously, we're walking through it because there's no collision set, but now you see how this can work. Tiled is a very powerful map editor, and it doesn't keep you constrained to the limitations of the RPG Maker editors. Now, this is a good way to make maps before they implement any kind of changes to MV, if they ever do, or if they ever add in like a more powerful map editor. Not sure that they will, but if not, this is the way to go. So it cuts down on the lag because you're not doing intense parallax mapping, which also includes huge images that you would have to basically layer on top of a map, meaning that there causes lag both on even on faster computers and on phones, browsers. It doesn't matter what it is, it'll cause lag. This cuts down on parallax mapping quite a bit because now you basically have the power to put tiles just about wherever you want. But okay, so I don't want to keep my doodads constrained to a certain area. What if I want to move it by small little pixel increments? We can do that too. Go to view, go to snapping, no snap. Now you can move it by pixel. If I wanted to, I could place it right here. Let's go ahead and do right here. Right. Let's go ahead and save it. Go back to MV, play test. There you have it, there it is. Yeah, I forgot, you can walk through these because I didn't set the collision to these 4 pillars, but you get the idea. Now you can intricately place tiles wherever you want, and you don't have to be constricted to using parallax mapping to do that. I highly recommend this plugin, and I hope that a lot more people use it to recognize its effectiveness in mapping. Anyway, this is DJ Dark X, and I'm hoping that this tutorial taught you something. If not, it also brought you a bit of laughter because I was basically being a little dumb. But hey, we all have our moments. Have a great day.